All right, let's see. Have you ever done a vision board?
A long time ago when I was with the essential oils, we did a vision board.
Okay. How was it? How was the experience?
It was good. It was about more of like your journey, where, you know, future, where did you want your future to go?
Yeah,
Um, but that was about the only experience with that. So I was excited to see, this one.
yeah. I do mine probably a little bit differently because I've done them in the past where you do the vision board, but you don't really have an action plan, right?
Yes.
It's great to look at your board. Like I have one, this is a smaller one that I have, but it's great to have it to look at, you know, but how do I get here? How do I get
Yeah.
here? Right? So that's the thing. So I did my first vision board in 2019. Jazzy and I went over to a good friend of mine's house, and that was the first time I'd ever done one. I'm a very visual person, so it kind of made sense. I had never really visualized, my future. It didn't, seem like I that year was kind of a tough year for me. So it was kind of difficult, really, for me to think about, bigger things and back then I was definitely in a different space than I am now. So, that was 5 years ago. So do you know how many years ago yours was?
Oh gosh. Yeah, that was probably about 5 years ago
Yeah.
or
So what came
longer.
out of that? Do you still have it?
No, no,
No.
I didn't still. No.
So that's the issue, right? So we make them and they're great to have, but what do we do with them? Like, do you remember any of the things that were on there?
Um, no, not really. The only thing that I sort of remember is like, you know, just time,
Hmm.
making time for yourself and then life happens and then, you know, but no, not really.
Okay. That's
And it
okay.
was a bigger class too.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I've been, actually, we did one last year. I try to do them every year or at least team up with somebody. This is actually the first time I've ever done one like this. And I was like, you know what? I have this group. We usually come on calls on Sundays whenever I can. So might as well make it a Sunday. And then, of course, stuff happens, right? And that kept
yeah,
happening. So I was just like, okay, but I also like to show the reality of things, right? Things do happen, life does happen. I have things going on too, right? So but in the right time we can come back together, and so that's why I did it this way. I also kind of wanted to have something a little bit more intimate anyway, um because I want this to be a little bit differently, or a little bit different. We're not going to actually make the board tonight unless you have time to, um but I want you to do it. So what that's going to do is that's going to challenge you to create some time this week. Maybe it's 10 minutes each day or something like that. Um, but I'm going to let you know. So the materials you're going to need, and I will have this listed out as well. And I don't know if you have any, if you want to take some notes. But the materials that you're going to need is, like a poster board. These are a little bit thicker. I think we got these at either Walmart or maybe Dollar Tree. I don't really remember, to be honest. Because this was a couple years ago when I did this one. But I like to do them a little bit thicker because the poster board's really flimsy and it doesn't last very long. Um, so you're gonna need that. Definitely need magazines, markers, paper. Sometimes we print things. If you can't find something in a magazine, we'll print it up. Um, and then you want to have, so I'll be making a worksheet and you'll have a copy of all this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this into an experience just like everything else, and you'll be able to access. So I'll have a document in there and you'll be able to access that. So that way you don't have to memorize everything. All right.
Yeah, that sounds good.
The biggest thing that I want you to think about, and I do hope, do you have a notebook or anything with you?
I got a pen. I can grab some paper.
Okay. Because you want to take some notes, because that way this isn't just for you to kind of go through and then forget about, right?
Yeah. Let me
So
see
you
if
want to
I
be able
can.
to kind of take some notes.
Yeah, let me grab a piece of paper. You got a piece of paper? No, I didn't.
Take me that whole pad and the pen. So silly.
You said go, go, go.
No, I'm saying go that way, not you.
That's funny.
They banned me to the room.
They banned you. Yeah, they didn't want to be quiet. They can be part of this too.
I know. Girls probably
That's
need
okay.
to.
That's
I'll
okay.
share
You're
it
leading
with
by
them.
example. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
leading by example. And that's one of the things that I love too, is like, I didn't want to force everybody to have to do it, anybody to have to do it right now. But it is great when you can bring other people, like maybe you can put together something, invite some friends, invite family. Hey, you guys, I just learned about this. Let's do it together, right? Bring
Yeah.
the people to you. And then that way you can kind of lead and share what you've learned. That's what I love. I love it when
Yeah.
people share those things. So um whatever we go over tonight, definitely take with you, and maybe you can do something. I want to make sure within 2 weeks that you have something created. Do you think that's
Oh, yeah.
feasible? Awesome. All
Yes.
right. So we're going to challenge you. 2 weeks.
Create the board.
Yes. All right. And you want to look at different areas. So think about some of the different areas of your life, right? What usually the biggest areas are health, right? So I don't know if you want to write these down, but it's usually health, finances, right?
Mm-hmm.
Employment or lack thereof, right? Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
want to be not having to work, right?
Right.
Um, and things can kind of fall into those. It's always life. Spirituality is a good one, right? What are your goals in that area? So underneath each category, you want to have, maybe 3 things, right? So if you think about your health, what are maybe 3 of your main goals when it comes to your health?
Weight loss.
Okay.
Um, what do you call it? Stamina, or what, how would you
Like
say?
endurance, like trying to
Yeah,
be able to keep going. Okay, so maybe, yeah, stamina, endurance, either of those is fine.
endurance. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Maybe
just
water intake.
yeah, yeah, yes.
And you can think of anything, that doesn't have to be the final list. I'm just trying to help you. I wanted you to have some things written down, because that way when we go into the other stuff, you'll kind of be able to hash it out a little bit.
Okay.
All right, so what else did we say? We said health, we said finances, right? So
Mm-hmm.
under finances, and like I said, you don't have to figure this out right now, but just 3 main ones. Think about that. Spirituality, 3 main things. I always say don't go more than 3, because when we
Right.
start looking more than 3, then we can kind of get overwhelmed, like this is never going to happen. That the mental part starts setting in, right?
Yeah.
So under each, like I said, under each category, just think of 3 main things. Okay. So you can start kind of
Okay.
working on that. Basically the mission of this right here is not to actually create the board, like I said, but to teach you how to create action steps to reach the goal. It's great to have a goal, but how do I get there? Right? Like it's
Mhm.
great to have the great pictures and the vision, but how do I get there? Right? For financial, when I was trying to raise my credit score, I had to have a budget. I had to keep track of my finances, right? Like these were things I had to do, right? If I want to, you're talking about weight loss. Okay. Maybe I need to make sure I'm preparing my meals in advance, make sure I'm tracking my foods at least 3 times a week. These are actionable things that we can do to reach the goal, right?
Mhm.
For stamina, for endurance, right? And okay, well, let's see how far you can go now. Okay, let's see how far you can get to within a month or two, right? Actionable steps. Okay, we have to have a means to the end, right? Like, here's the way I get there. Because otherwise, we're just like, oh, I want to achieve blah, 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 right?
Mhm.
But I don't have any way to get there. And so it's great to want, it's great to dream. But if we just have that, we don't have the results that we desire because we're just dreaming and then life comes in and says, oh no, right? And it
Yeah.
completely takes us off course. So we have to have, I mean, day in and day out, right? Like daily things. These are 3 things I'm going to work on today. And we take it day by day, right? We
Mhm.
have to do those things. So every day, in the morning, writing down, okay, what are my 3 priorities for today to get me over here, right? So that's where the vision board can come into play, where you put it up on your wall, wherever your workspace is, right? Put it up there. You pick something on it and you say, okay, I'm going to work on that and that. Okay, well, what am I going to do to work on that and that? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And then you do them, right? And then the
Yep.
next day, okay, that. Okay, I'm going to do this, and this, right? Every single day. 5 minutes probably out of your day, right? Not a big deal. But we have to be doing that every day, right? I had a good conversation with a lady yesterday, actually bringing her onto the team to help me out because I needed some help. And she's awesome. She's younger, she's 27. But we had a great conversation about this stuff too, because it was just like, okay, you know, every single day we have to be working on something because otherwise we just allow everything to fall by the wayside, right? So it's just being very, very intentional, very mindful. If we really, really want it, right? A lot of people don't see all the effort that goes in, right? Most people don't know that I wake up early in the morning and I'm literally like doing what I'm telling you to do, right? Like, or I'm like, okay, what am I going to prioritize today? How am I going to get this done, right? And we do have to plan with flexibility because life can still happen, right? But as long as we achieve that at some point in the day, we're still achieving it, right? So maybe we weren't able to achieve it at that time that we thought we were going to, but we're able to
Mhm.
do it a couple hours later, right? That's okay. We're still taking the actionable steps, all right? So I'm going to go. I did create a little presentation just to kind of give you a visual, my own visual.
Hmm.
Not too wordy though. I don't like wordy presentations. They're boring. All right.
Mhm. I can't
I'm
keep
gonna
up.
share this. But this is why I wanted you to take notes too, right? All right. So SMART goals. Have you ever heard? I talk about them a lot and I have a couple of experiences about SMART goals. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, specific.
Yes. Again, it's great to have a goal, but it has to be specific, right? Like, I want to lose weight. Okay, well, maybe you need to change that and say, I want to lose 5 pounds within the next, a healthy weight loss is about 1.5 pounds per week, no more than that, right? So if you want to lose 5 pounds, now we're not talking female fluctuations, okay? Because you can lose 5 pounds in a day and gain it right back, you know.
Yeah.
So the 5 pounds, you want to be able to lose that over a period of time, right? So usually I tell people, okay, if you want to lose 5 pounds, give yourself about 3 weeks, right? It's pretty healthy. You can be consistent. Great. That should be 5 pounds that you can keep off. So it's not the daily 2 to 3 pound fluctuation at that point. Now it's like, okay, over a period of time, I got 5 pounds is gone. So what I'll usually tell people, because the scale can also be not so good, right? It can also be something that makes us kind of go down a path of, I'm never going to get there. I've dealt with that a lot with people, okay? So what I'll usually tell people is, if it's weight loss, if you're trying to achieve something that the scale is telling you, especially for females, I will say, weigh yourself the same time every day and take an average of that on the weekend. Okay? So I don't care if you weigh yourself one day and it says, and I'm just going to throw a number out there, you weigh yourself one day and it says 180, and the next day it says 179, and the next day it says 182. I don't care about that part. At the end of the week, you just add those numbers up, divide it by however many days, 5 or 6, whatever, right? That's your number for that week. The following week, you do the same thing, okay? So again, that's where the time blocking comes into play, because you got to have time for that too, right? You want to do it at the same time. Usually first thing in the morning before you eat or drink anything is the best time, okay? So if you're going to focus on weight loss, you have to do it. There's a certain way you need to do it, because otherwise you might jump on the scale one day, you jump on the scale 3 days later, and it's, maybe it's more, maybe it's not, or it goes down. I've seen this plenty of times. It goes down and then it goes back up, because guess what? We're females and that's just how our bodies work. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. But if you get to a point, and this is where the self-awareness comes into play with you, with all of us, right? If you get to a point where you notice that looking at the scale is starting to cause more detriment to your goals than it is making you feel better about your goals, put the scale away and don't worry about it. The weight loss will come as long as you're doing the things that you need to be doing. Okay. So that's where you have to get to know you, right? Is this helping me? Is this motivating me? Or is it not? And if it's not, get rid of it. Okay. I've taken scales from people for that reason. So be careful with that. Okay. That's a you thing. I don't know how that's going to work for you, but I just wanted to say that, because it's very, very important on a weight loss journey for the person to understand who they are and what helps them. Okay.
True.
Okay. All right. So revisioning things a smart way, we're goal setting, but we're also planning, right? It's great to have the vision, but I have to be planning things out, right? I have to know, okay, if I say make it your year, how am I going to make it my year? Well, hopefully I've got some stuff written down somewhere. That's how I'm going to make it my year, right? That's what we need to be doing. We have to have those things that we can literally go in and check off. I put the ideal partnership, and this board is a couple years old, but that finally happened this year. But what did I have to do to get there? Well, I didn't give up. That's the first thing, right? I didn't give up. So don't ever give up, because you'll never get there if you give up.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have to be taking steps, like I had to keep building relationships. I had to go through some people that weren't the right partner to get to the right partnership, you know? So we can't give up when it gets hard. We have to have a way of getting there. All right. So we have to learn how to set the SMART goals and create an action plan. Okay. And then I'm going to define SMART goals. I have a slide after this. But basically, it's setting your goals and creating the action plan so they're not just dreams. This vision board shouldn't just be a fantasy. It should be something you can achieve and will achieve as long as you put in the work. Right now, I can't tell you how long it'll take. I didn't know how long stuff was going to take when I did that. Right. But I know that if I keep working towards it, I'll get there. If you keep working towards the things that you have in front of you, whether it's drinking more water, weight loss, spiritual development, financial, whatever, as long as you keep working towards it, you're going to get there. But what happens is a lot of people, it takes too long, right? It takes too long and then they quit. Well, that's not going to get you anywhere, right? So just make sure whatever you do, don't quit. You can't get there if you quit. All right. So here we go. This is kind of for some reason, the pictures aren't coming through on these. I had a picture up here because me and Jazzy did a vision board and I had one on there. I might actually, let me see. I'm going to stop share real quick. I'm going to see if I can get that. Let's see. Because for some reason, I did that last week too. It was weird. I was like, why are the pictures not coming up? It's like they're fine until I go to present it and then they just do whatever they want. Yeah, for some reason that one's not going to come up. But actually, that one, I'm glad I went back to it because it actually showed. I'm going to show you real quick. This was me.
So cute.
That was me. Now, why do you think I put a picture of little old me when we're talking about goals and dreams and vision boards? Why do you think I put that on there?
Oh, that's so cute.
You're so funny. Why do you think I put that on there though? Think about your inner child.
Yeah.
Your inner child was a dreamer. Your inner child didn't let anything stop her. But what happens? People around us, society, life, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to tap into your inner child. Your inner child believes, right? Our inner child believes, before everybody or everything around us came in and told us what we could or couldn't believe, we just believed. Nothing was impossible for us, right? So as you're doing this, I really want you to tap into that inner child, and I know sometimes we don't remember what we were like or whatever. Like, I don't remember exactly what I was like, but I looked happy, right? Like, so I think that was a time where, I didn't have all the chaos around me. And I really did dream and think that things could be possible. So tap into that as you're doing this. Nothing is out of reach. We place the limitations on ourselves. So we have to stop doing that. Okay. So goal setting with SMART goals. So the S is specific. So if you want to write this down, specific. The M is measurable. The A is achievable. So we're setting goals that we know we can achieve. Okay. R is relevant, relevant to your life, relevant to your lifestyle, right? What are you going to allow yourself to achieve? The timely part, This one is where there's a little bit of controversy, because those of us who are spirit led, we know that God's not on our time frame, right? He's not on our timetable. He could care less about the timetable that we set forth. However, for me personally, I don't know how this is for you. I need to have a date in order to work for it.
Yeah.
So what I tend to do, and I say, Lord, if this doesn't work with you, I know you'll let me know, but just can I put this down for right now? Like,
Yeah.
these are conversations I have all the time. And so for instance, 2021, I was studying for the real estate exam, right? I took the course and then I kind of just let it fall by the wayside. I didn't actually take the exam. So here we go, months and months, and I'm making excuses. And see, here I'm Erin. See, I'm just as human as everybody else. I'm making excuses. I was honestly, it was fear though. I was afraid that I would fail the test. Okay. Well, what happens when we operate by fear? When we can't get anywhere, right?
Mhm.
So at the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022, it was like that January, I think, 2022. I just decided to go on the website and pick a date. And it had 2/22/22. And I said, well, that sounds pretty interesting. All right, I'm picking that one. Now, you know what that did? Whether or not that was going to happen on that day, whether or not I was going to pass the exam, it didn't matter. At that point, I made a commitment to myself. That was the date. Then I was able to look at the calendar and then I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to be prepared for that date? Right? Because there's a lot of studying. I hadn't done the course in a few months. So I had to go back. I bought I bought into a website that had a bunch of pre-tests. I'm taking the pre-tests, right?
Yeah.
It was action steps, but I set a date. So that's why I said, like, start small with small goals. You can have your vision board, you can have bigger goals on your vision board, obviously. But when you're creating your action plan, start with small goals. Like I said, start with 5 pounds, right? We're not going to go to 30 because we haven't even reached 5. So start small. And as you start small, you'll keep going, right? The water thing, you're drinking way more water. I was joking with you earlier, but you are drinking more water,
Yeah.
right?
I didn't put that
Same
down because
thing.
it was already reached.
But same thing, but you still got more to drink, right? So you can still
Yeah.
add that. Okay, well,
I
if
saw
this
that
is where I'm
100
at
on
right
there.
now. Yeah. Well, if you're okay, I'm just gonna throw a number. If you're at 40, and maybe you're more than that now, I'm just throwing a number out there. You started at 4 ounces, so 40 is really good. That's 10
Yeah.
times more than where we started,
Yeah.
right? So even if you're at 40, maybe you're trying to get to 50. Just small, just 10 increments, right? We'll get to 100 eventually, but from 40, we got to get to 50. If we don't get to 50, how are we going to get to 100? Right? So
Yeah.
it's small, actionable goals. Once you get to 50, great, raise the bar, 55. 55, all right, cool, 60, right? Work up small, actionable goals, okay? So I did put on here, we're not in control of all outcomes, but having these things in place is good to prevent our goals from falling by the wayside. Think of one thing you want to achieve and use these steps to create the plan. Okay. You got to have the plan. Use the same idea for any goal you desire to succeed. I did put on here, tap back into your dreamer self. So that inner child, right? What do
Yeah.
you see for yourself? What do you see for your family? So these are things that you want to be thinking about as you're creating your board. What do you see for yourself? What do you see for your family? What do you see for those around you? What would you like to build or achieve? What does Jody want? Right? Remember to start with yourself first. That's a big one. I talk about this all the time, right? What does yourself need? What do you need? Because we have to fill our cups before we can pour into everybody else's, right? So think
Yes.
about that as you're doing this. Don't just think about everybody else yet, because you got to get where you need to be before you can do that. I put this picture on here because this is not a normal look for me. Okay. It takes a lot of work. But again, I set a date, right? I have another one. I'm setting a date for this year too. That's how I get there. I know what to do. Okay, well, what do I need to do? Well, I have to track my foods, obviously. I have to go to, get the workouts in. Those are things I have to do, but I also have to keep this in check because I also have chronic pain. There are some days that I'm not able to get certain workouts in, right? You know about this.
Mm-hmm.
So I make sure that I have to keep this in check. Okay, well, maybe I'm not able to do everything I thought I was going to be able to do today, but I can do something. What can I do? Okay, that's where you have to figure that part out, right? But you have to have that. You have to have that in front of you. You have to have something in front of you, right? So goal and vision planning, the SMART guide. Set your SMART goals easily and align your goals with your larger life mission. What do you feel like you're called to do? And you don't have to answer this right now, but I want you to really be thinking about these things. What were you called to do? Think about some of the things around you. Think about what you're good at, what you're gifted in. Have you ever done a spiritual gifts thing? Like they have them on, you can Google it. Have you ever done one of those?
I think I did. I think I
I
did
was
it
gonna
with
say you
you.
should. We might have, but you should tap back into that and see what
Yeah,
it
I'm gonna
says.
try that again.
Yeah,
Spiritual.
you can Google it. There's a bunch of them out there, but it's pretty interesting. So I would definitely tap back into that. Design a powerful vision board. Visualize your end success and how it will feel. Believe for it. Believe for it. Create actionable plans. Break your goals down into manageable pieces. That's what I was talking about, right? You can have the big goal. That's great. You can have the big vision. I mean, I have a jet on here that I still haven't gotten right. You can, and it might be a team jet. I don't know that part yet, right? But it's the freedom part. but but I have it on here. I actually put this on here. I like words. I'm a word person. So I like words. But like I have find your calm. I think I'm just now finding that kind of, right?
Yeah.
So we can have our big vision. I have on here this year's best book. It's not there yet. That's my big vision, right? I'm gonna have one. It's gonna get there. Right? That's my big vision. Well, what do I do in the meantime? Well, I'm writing blogs. I'm redoing this one. I met a wonderful woman who's going to help me get there, right? Because a lot of times it's the people we're around, it's those connections, it's building those relationships that helps us, right? We can't do everything by ourselves, and we know that. So it's breaking those goals down into the pieces that are achievable. Okay, so make sure you're doing that, because otherwise it's going to be like the other vision board. It's just going to disappear along with the vision.
Mm-hmm.
And the fourth thing is monitor your progress continuously. Track and adjust your goals as needed. I'm doing that actually at night, I'm always reflecting on the day. That's kind of part of it, right? If I go back and look at the day, okay, well, what did I do well at, but what do I need to work on? Because I got to look at both sides, right? I can give myself a pat on the back, but is there anything that I can still work on? There's always stuff. I'm still a work in progress, just like everybody else, right? So I try to do that as much as possible. I do it at the end of the week, and then I also go back over the month. What did I achieve this month? What did I not achieve this month that I thought I was going to achieve? How can I try to work on that for next month? Is that even something that I still want to work on? Right? That's a big one too. So it's just about looking at everything, evaluating, and like it says right here, adjusting. I always say shifting is okay. Quitting is not an option, but shifting is okay. I shift all the
Mhm.
time. All right. So SMART goals: vision, action, success. So you can write that down: vision, action, success. That action part, that word right there, that's your most important word out of all of that.
Got
You
it.
can have the vision, you can want the success, but without the action, we can't get to the success part. All right. So when we're setting our goals, we need to be establishing clear, concise, and specific goals with achievable targets. Okay. You want to allow yourself, because here's what happens. We're talking about our psychological self, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel when you achieve something that you set out to do?
You feel good
You feel good. Don't you want to have that feeling more often? I
all
do.
the time.
I do.
Yes.
So you have to set yourself up for success, because what happens is if we put our goals so far out and we're not reaching them, we can quit, because it does seem like it's too far, like that's never going to happen. That's when our limiting mindsets start coming to play. I have that, or it's like, I start second guessing, maybe this was too good to be true, right? Like, and that's when I talk about the enemy within, that's, I battle that daily, right? I think
Yeah.
a lot of us do. And so it's just being mindful of that and understanding, okay, let me set myself up for success. Let me make sure that I'm giving myself, achievable goals, small things. There's a book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. Very good book. He talks about that, where it's like there was a guy that was going to the gym every single day, and he would only go in for 5 minutes. He would walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes and leave. But what he was doing was he was creating the habit, because before that, he wouldn't even walk in the gym. Right. So he had to get himself
Mhm.
there. Eventually, he kept going, and he kept going for longer, and he learned more, and he got people around him that taught him more. Right. Great, but that takes time. So he had a goal. First, he had to get in the gym. So once he got in the gym, that was his first goal. Great. Pat yourself on the back, go, leave, right? Then
Yeah.
his second goal was, okay, now I got in the gym. Let me get in the gym and then walk for 5 minutes on the treadmill. Now I'm forcing myself. And he would leave after 5 minutes. He didn't care. He would leave. But again, he was creating the habit. So just remember, small, achievable habits, small, achievable goals. Okay.
What was the book? Atomic what?
Atomic Habits by
Habits.
James Clear. Yeah. It's audiobook too. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so you can listen to it too. It's really good. Really good book. So once you've done, you've set your goals, you have your achievable targets. The next thing is to plan it, the action planning part. Okay. Create a good plan with actionable steps that aligns with your goals. Now, this is where time blocking comes into play, right? Because you have to create some time to do these things. So maybe it's over a course of a few days where you're actually, okay, I'm going to take 15 to 20 minutes and I'm going to sit down with this and I'm going to work on it. That's the effort. We always have to put effort in on the back end, right? And then with the vision board, you're creating a visual representation of your goals and your dreams. But you can't do that until you get through these other ones.
Mm-hmm.
This one is one of my favorite quotes. A goal without a plan is just a wish.
Mm-hmm.
It's so true. All right. So, like I said, depending on, I didn't know who was going to show up, who wasn't going to show up. So I'm not really worried about doing this tonight. We kind of took some extra time in different areas. But I do want you, if you have time tonight, if you can take 20 minutes and just start working through these things. That way it's fresh. You're not just putting it to the side. Maybe you get your family involved, say, hey, you guys, we should look at this. Or maybe they don't want to, whatever. I always say if I waited on everybody else, I would be in trouble. So sometimes I just do what I need to do, right? So if you have the ability to do this, I know you got your family and stuff like that, but if you have the ability while it's fresh to take the 20 minutes out and just start, taking your notes, that'll make it a whole lot easier to achieve the goal and actually get to the point where you can create the vision board. Okay. And like I said, on here, we can show our boards through pictures. We can do that inside of the group. You can do it inside of the accountability group you're in there. You can do it on social media. We can show them on the next call, whatever. Like I said, I want you to, if you get done with before 2 weeks, let me know. Okay.
Oh,
But
okay.
I give you 2 weeks because I want you, I want to give you enough time. But make sure you mark that date down. That's your first goal, right?
Yes.
That's your first timely goal to get this board created, but not just created, not just thrown together, but intentionally put together, right? Being intentional. Thinking about, okay, what exactly do I want to achieve out of this? What exactly am I going to get out of this? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
All right, let me make sure I have my little notes right here. So I want to make sure I got through everything. I did want to have, kind of ask you like, and I think you and I already know each other, but like for anybody that watches this later, if you think about some of the challenges that have kept you from reaching your goals up to this point, what are some ways that you can overcome those challenges now?
I think just getting the mindset right that it does take time, and no matter how many times you get off track, get back on, because you're not necessarily starting over. I've had to learn that.
Yes.
Like I kept thinking to myself, like, man, like here I go again starting over. But I'm coming to the, realization that I've learned through this. And if I get off track, then get back on and pick up where I left off and just keep moving. Because, like you said, I was drinking 0 ounces, and now I'm anywhere between 40 and 60 ounces. Yes.
That
And
makes me
just,
happy.
yeah, maneuver and convene. I mean, I was on there when I first got
I had to go through that too. Don't worry.
Yeah. And so just looking at, you know, just pause and look at the potential. You know, you either learn something, you've done something, and just keep pressing forward.
Yeah. Very true. And that's the thing. I mean, and you mentioned convene. Yeah, I didn't learn convene. I mean, it literally, thank God it doesn't take everybody this long. Well, it took me about 1.5 years, but that was also because I was doing other things. I was like, this doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna go, right? So, but again, I wasn't starting over every time I came back. So just like you were saying, right? I wasn't starting over every time I came back. I just had to pick up where I left off. It's no
Yeah.
different. Everything in life literally utilizes the same concept. Every single thing we do, right? Whether it's health, life, business, it doesn't matter. Spirituality, the same thing, right? We're not starting over. We still have the information. It's just being willing to use the information and then being willing to do it, right?
Yeah.
So that's a really good, I'm glad you brought that point up because that's important to remember that, you're just picking back up. I tell people, I think we talked about this too on a call where it's like life is like this and you just
Yeah.
hope that eventually the line goes up,
Yeah.
right? So, but it's never, some days are going to be better than others. That's okay. But again, that's why it's important to reflect, like, okay, well, today didn't go so well. Well, why didn't it go so well? Think about those things, right? Why didn't it go so well? Okay, is there anything that I can do tomorrow to help it get better? Right? Maybe my reactions can be better. Maybe maybe first thing in the morning I need to focus on gratitude a little bit more, so that way I get in that mindset. I don't know. But that's what we have to do. We have to keep reflecting. We have to keep getting better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the reflection part is definitely needed because, I mean, we can get in our heads real quick and just blow stuff up, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, we just
Oh
go
yeah.
off on like, no, 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 wait. Just, no, reflect,
Yeah.
pause, whatever we got to do to keep us from going off of,
Yeah.
that negative self-talk, I guess is what it would be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important. It's very important. And that's where self-awareness comes into play, right? So I have a self-awareness worksheet that people that are taking that go through the modules, they've gone through it, but we have to become self-aware. Where are some areas that you tend to get down on yourself in? You have to know those things, because if you don't, it's going to be very difficult to shift. Now, I will never, we're not fixable. It's not like a light switch that we can just fix, right?
Right.
But we can be self-aware enough to where we can acknowledge, maybe feel the emotion that we need to feel, but not go down the rabbit hole of that feeling, right? Feel it,
Yeah.
then shift. Understand that, like, okay, but this doesn't have to be where I stay. I can
Mm-hmm.
shift this. And that's what we have to remember. I have to do it. I'm telling you, daily. Daily. All right. But again, that's why I tell people, I'm like, if I can do this, anybody can. If I can do,
Mm-hmm.
there's absolutely nothing I'm doing that nobody else can do. I'm just intentional and I work towards it. That's the only difference, you know? So it's just being willing to do that. All right. So when you get yours done, let me know. Maybe we'll just get on a call. Either we'll get on a call, one of the ones that are already scheduled, or we'll just get on one of these off schedule and just record it so you can show, what you did, and I'll let you explain it, because I want you to be able to do that. I think it's very important for us to explain our vision boards, because again, we're trying to bring it in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to just create a vision board and put it off to the side and never look at it again. I want you to create something that means something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. I feel really good with these.
Good. I was just going to ask, do you have any questions? Do you think you have enough for right now to be able to continue on and do this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Hopefully you can get some other people to join in with you. Women are usually good. Sometimes the guys take a lot longer.
Yeah.
Get the kids though. My Jazzy was 9 when we did our first, when I did the first one. And that was really cool. Because she wasn't tainted by society yet. Not too much
Yeah.
anyway. So it's pretty cool that we were able to do that. She's not too motivated now because she's in her teenage years, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you can foster that, see who wants to join in, just put it out there. And if nobody does, that's okay. You do you, and you get it
Yeah.
done.
Let them
I always
do it
say,
at summer.
I feel good knowing I did my part, right? Like even if nobody did show up to this call, even if I just recorded it and I put it out there, I did my part, right? And I have to be okay with that. So that's the same with you. If you ask people to join in, you've already done your part. If they don't, that's okay. Right? You already did your part. That's all that matters. You planted the seed. You know, not
Mhm.
everybody's gonna water it, so it's okay. But I'm really proud of you. I'm glad you showed up, so that way I didn't have to talk to myself tonight. That was great. I will. I don't have a problem with it, but it's always better whenever I have somebody on the other line. But I am
Yes.
glad that you showed up, and I appreciate you. Um, and you know, great things are coming. We just got to keep plugging away.
Yeah. Thank you. It does make me feel better too, to get on and everything too. So I appreciate you as well.
Yeah, no problem. Well, the world is yours.
Okay. I'm gonna be getting on this board. I'm off tomorrow, so I'll
Yeah.
be putting some time into it for sure tomorrow.
Okay. We have, if you're able to jump on the convene call, we have the convene call on Monday night still. And I'll post that inside the community. And then Tuesday, we have the accountability group. So
Okay.
lots of ways to keep going.
Yeah.
Keep the momentum going.
Yeah. Okay. You have a good
All
night.
right. You too. I'm gonna let you get back to your family. If you need anything, just reach out, okay?
Okay.
All right, you got this.
Bye.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.